Before I begin, this story is up to 18 years. When you have kids around, please use headphones. Thank you for your understanding. The haunted place Frankenstein Castle. What many people do not know is that the name Frankenstein predates Shelley's novel by centuries. On a hilltop in the Odenwald mountain range, overlooking the German city of Darmstadt, are the crumbling remains of the real-life Frankenstein Castle. The stone structure has stood upon the hilltop since the mid-13th century. Some say that the castle's dark legend made its way to a young Mary Shelley, providing inspiration for her great novel. While Frankenstein conjures thoughts of mad scientists and lumbering monsters, the phrase is in fact a fairly normal phrase for castles in southern Germany. The term Frank refers to the ancient Germanic tribe, while Stein means stone. Frankenstein means stone of the Franks. Lord Conrad II Ries of Bruberg constructed the castle sometime around 1250. He christened the structure Frankenstein Castle, and afterward adopted the name von und zu Frankenstein. As founder of the Free Imperial Barony of Frankenstein, Lord Conrad held power over nearby Darmstadt, Oststadt, Niederbirbach, Wetterau, and Hesse. As for the castle's dark legend, that can be traced back to alchemist Johann Conrad Dippel, who was born in the castle in 1673. Dippel created an elixir known as Dippel's oil. Derived from pulverized animal bones, the dark, viscous oil was used as late as World War II, as a chemical warfare agent that rendered wells undrinkable without actually making the water poisonous. Rumors surrounding Dippel hold that, during his time at Frankenstein Castle, he practiced anatomy as well as alchemy, even going so far as to exhume corpses and perform medical experiments on them. There are some reports claiming that Dippel actually created a monster that was brought to life by a bolt of lightning, though it seems most likely that Shelley's tale inspired these stories, and not the other way around. An intriguing local legend tells of a Lord Georg of Frankenstein, who lived in the castle and fought a dragon that lurked at a nearby wall. The legend goes that the lord was stung by the dragon's poison tail during the skirmish, and died after making his way back to the castle. The supposed tomb of Lord Georg can still be visited in the church in the nearby village of Niederbirbach. The forest near the castle is also home to a particularly eerie natural anomaly. Due to magnetic stone formations within the mountains, there are places near Frankenstein Castle where compasses cease to work properly. Legends say that witches use these areas for their Sabbaths on Walpurgisnacht. This is written by Oren Gray, published August 8, 2016, and now to my story. Frankenstein Castle is called haunted by the ghost of Johann Conrad Dippel haunt in the chapel where he died after drinking his elixir, the ghost of his girlfriend Anne-Marie haunt in the tower crying for her boyfriend, and the ghosts from the people he dug off haunts on the forest around the castle. A team of paranormal investigators is arriving at the castle to investigate what is behind the ghost story. Before I continue, please don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Hit the bell to get news about new posts. I wish you a great time with my story. The paranormal investigator Ralph, Peter, and Sandra arrive at the parking lot at Frankenstein's Castle in Darmstadt, Germany. It is mostly a ruin, only the chapel and the tower are in good condition. The caretaker is awaiting them. He called them because he heard voices and saw dark walking shadows when he took care of the building. Also, massive doors opened of their own, and other things got disorganized overnight. The caretaker says, "Hello. Welcome to Frankenstein Castle. I am Rudy the caretaker. Nice to meet you. I am Ralph and this is Peter and Sandra." Says Ralph. "It's my pleasure. I will show you around the castle," replies Rudy. He shows them first the chapel and says, "This is the chapel here. Every night I lock the door. One morning I came in and all the wooden benches here you can see were stacked together in the middle of the chapel. And this massive door opened sometimes of its own when I was cleaning here, and at the same time, I heard a voice speaking in an old German vernacular. How often do you have this experience?" asks Sandra. "Mostly when no tourists are here," answers Rudy. "What do you hear?" asks Ralph. "I hear I translate Arbogast is here." He answers. "What means Arbogast?" asks Peter. "Arbogast is a synonym for a knight or a castle. It can mean this is my home and I will never leave," answers Rudy. Then they go to the top of the tower and Rudy tells them, "Here I heard a woman crying when I passed the floor with a broom. What experience have you else?" asked Peter. "That is all for the castle, but sometimes when I am driving home I have seen shadows walking around inside the forest." He answers, "Thank you for showing us around. We will stay overnight here in the castle and investigate with our special equipment," says Ralph. "Thank you. I leave then all doors open for you," replies Rudy. All are going back to the parking lot. The caretaker wishes them success with the investigation and says bye and leave. The investigators get the cameras and ultrasonic microphones out of the car and go back to the castle where they place the equipment. They place one camera and microphone in the tower and the rest of it in the chapel. They expect the main paranormal activity in the chapel. It is autumn and the leaves on the trees have yellow, red, and brown colors. The temperature is 10 degrees Celsius and it starts to get dark in the afternoon. Ralph, Peter, and Sandra start the camera software on their laptop. They can control the recording from the tower and the chapel. Sandra has a seat on the bench and suddenly the temperature drops to sub-zero in a short moment. She is freezing and she can see her breath. The door behind her opens, and she turns her head in the direction of the door. A shadow scurries out of the chapel and then the door slams back with great force. In front of the chapel, Peter and Ralph turn around and ask, "Hey, what happens? Why do you slam the door so? Didn't see you that?" asks Sandra back. "No, we were checking the camera from the tower. Let's rewind the camera here." Sandra goes to them and looks at the laptop. The camera shows Sandra sitting on the bench and behind her is the shadow and the here. "Arbogast ist here. Jet weg. That means, this is my home. Go away." "Did you hear this, Sandra?" asked Ralph. "No, I heard nothing. I felt cold, turned around and saw the shadow disappear by slamming the door," answers Sandra. "This is a major sign of poltergeist," says Ralph. They see how the door got slammed. At this moment they got a signal from the other camera in the tower. A shadow from a woman appears and starts crying loud. Another shadow appears and the feminine ghost disappeared quickly. They hear "Ah! Go away!" and the shadow flies into the camera. The investigators lose the signal from the camera and the microphone at this moment. Suddenly, the door of the chapel is thrown open violently and falls out of the bracket. The pews begin to twirl in the air and fall sideways from the chapel. The poltergeist is in front of them and yells, "Go away!" All three investigators run out of the chapel and the castle to the parking lot. This is a violent poltergeist. It is better to leave before someone get hurt. They drive down the forest in direction to Darmstadt. Ralph brakes rapidly. The road is blocked with a fallen tree. More shadows are staying in front of the tree. Ralph, Peter, and Sandra step out of the vehicle. The shadows don't move. They can see that they have missing body parts. One of the shadows says, "Don't come back, this all is property from our master. Look at us, he made experiments with us. He is the devil's advocate. He will do the same to you too. Run." The ghosts and the tree disappear. All three driving to Darmstadt and rest in a hotel. The next morning they have a meeting with the caretaker at the castle. With fear and anxious hearts they drive up the road to the castle. The caretaker Rudy awaits them in the parking lot. "I thought you are staying here?" he asks, surprising. "We wanted. But then we had to flee. There are multiple ghosts and the main ghost is a poltergeist and inherently dangerous. We will show you on our laptop in the chapel. By the way, the poltergeist destroyed the chapel," says Ralph. "OMG. Let's go," says Rudy, and all going to the chapel. But it looks like nothing happens. The door is closed and in the bracket. They open the door and all pews are in the right position. All their equipment is nice and organized in the middle of the chapel. The investigators can't believe it. All this is extremely strange. Ralph starts the recording, but all sections of the film where the poltergeist appears are useless and unrecognizable. Rudy laughs loud out and says, "I believe you, but admittedly the ghost screwed you pretty badly." Without words, Ralph and the other two paranormal investigators take their equipment and leave the castle. They are mad and disappointed. With no valuable results, they drive away and were never seen again in Castle Frankenstein. End of the story.